Morning, everyone. Eric Meehan here. It is Monday, September 16th. It is, biodynamically, a flower day, starting at about a little after midnight today. So it is a wonderful day to enjoy a nice wine. Flower fruit days, obviously the best ones. And in theory, I mean, this is how it's supposed to work. Today is a wonderful day to smell flowers and propagate flowers and do florally things. What does that mean to you? Yeah, it all depends. And as we explore biodynamics more, it might actually influence what you choose to do on a day like this. So what I wanted to talk about today is actually nothing to do with biodynamics or anything like that. It actually has to do with storage, because this is a question I get a lot. And it's important to think about because people are very precious about wine, but sometimes sort of in the wrong ways. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, I think that a lot of people have wine on some sort of grand pedestal and that they're almost afraid of it. Other people treat wine as what I actually think it should be, which is an everyday beverage that, consumed in moderation is historically one of the greatest and most beloved of all consumable beverages. And we'll get to the history of wine in this video series as well. But the thing about wine is that not a lot of people consider taking it home and having it. They consider storage of like really expensive wines and age-worthy wines, but they don't really consider like just having wine at home so that instead of needing to go to a wine store every day, you can pick and choose from what you have at home. And that leads to the question of, well, whether or not I want to just have, a couple bottles to grab from, but I don't want them to go bad or, this or that. Or if it's talking about age-worthy wines, either one, you want to make sure that it's kept right. So a couple really quick principles in this. First of all, heat bad. Heat bad, right? If you don't want to leave like your dog in your car, you definitely don't want to leave wine in your car. Again, agricultural product, right? Are you going to leave like raw, ground beef in your car? No, you're not. You're going to not want to do that with wine. So heat bad. Freezing, not a good thing either. I can tell you a wonderful story sometime if anybody cares to hear about it, about the time I went into the store I was working at and one of our coolers had failed and frozen all this really expensive wine. I got to taste some really expensive wine slushies that day, but not the best thing if you don't want A, ruined wine, and B, broken bottles and all that, because of course when liquid freezes, what happens, right? So in theory, heat bad, freezing bad, but cool good. Cool good. Not just like cool good, but like cool good. A lot of the places I've been in where the winemakers are storing their wines, and this is the key here, are not exactly special and sanctimonious, and certainly they're not ultra lined with all this gorgeous wood and blah, blah, blah. They're very practical. Now, of course, there are the certain estates where their storage rooms are a little more fantastical than you need to be. But on average, people store wine where it makes sense. So for instance, in the Loire Valley, there are deep caves cut in the limestone there where you can rent space in these. They're huge, they're multi-level. It's actually terrifying if you're claustrophobic, which I am. But you're under the earth several levels, but it's cool. It's like 50 degrees at all times. That's great. 55 degrees, what we call cellar temperature, is really, really great. So this leads me to my point. Most of us up here in Maine actually have cellars, right? We're not like down in Florida where we're building on like sand with, the water table like, 2 feet below us or anything like that. We have cellars, and most of them keep things relatively stable and cool. Or if you have an access to like an old root cellar or anything like that where you're under the earth, because the earth is a tremendously valuable, inexpensive way of keeping things at a moderate temperature. But even if it's not that, obviously you're still looking for that sort of thing. But what's super important is you want cool, you want dark, because UV light can hurt it too, of course, the color of the bottles and if it's in a box and all that. But the point is cool and dark and stable. And most of us have access to some place like that here in Maine, which is, we're very lucky about that. For those of you in other parts of the country, the same rules apply. Now, in other places where there are a lot of people, which is obviously not central Maine, there are actually places where they have, temperature controlled wine storage units, old, converted warehouses where they have a lot of space and stuff like that. So if you're looking to do that and you're in another part of the country, another part of the world, there are places you can do that. But here in Maine, we're very lucky. Most of us, as I said, have access to somewhere usually below the earth, the foundation of our houses or apartments or condos or whatever, where you can probably keep stuff. And even if it has to be like, in your house, keep it somewhere where it stays, again, cool, dark as well as you can, and you're going to be in good shape. And that way, whether you're buying, expensive bottles to age or just, your normal everyday wines where you want to buy a case, get 10% off on the case, come home, that way you've got a selection of bottles you can pull from. That's the key, is cool, stable, dark. Talk to you next time. Bye.